Hey everyone, welcome to our joint live today at Acupuncture Fit. My name is Dr. Anise Khalaf, and I am joined here with Hannah Alyward. Welcome, Hannah.
Hi, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you're on the show today, and I want to also thank our former guest on our live, Emily, for connecting us.
Yes.
Thank you, Emily. So Hannah, I'm super excited that you're on today. Hannah specializes in helping empower women through healing their gut health. How exciting does that sound?
Yeah, let's get into it, right?
Right. No, let's dive right in. So Hannah, I mean, and before we dive in, I wanted to tell everybody this is going to be a very powerful moment. So if you like what you're hearing, please share this, comment. As we see comments come through, if we have some time, we'll answer your questions, and or just shoot us a message if you're interested or know somebody that might, be healed with this or helped with this. So let's just again dive right in. So Hannah, how did you get involved with this?
Yeah, oh my gosh, my story could go very, very long, but I'll give you the abridged version. Really, I got into health and wellness for a very superficial reason. I just wanted to, like many other women, kind of control the way that my body looked. Really had to do with my weight. And one of the worst things about it, I guess, is that I wasn't really ever even overweight. It was just like a mental chaos sort of thing. So I started on the diet roller coaster of like diet after diet after diet. I think I started my first diet when I was probably 14 years old, which is devastating to me now. So that's kind of how I got going. And then slowly but surely, I came across all of this research and information on the gut. And I realized like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this. There's so much more than how I look, how much I weigh, what size I am. And I really started diving into this gut health research and realized how influential and immense it was, and how important it was, and how also by attacking the gut and really repairing it and setting the right conditions for the body will just naturally feel good on its own. And there's so much more that comes out of eating the right foods and taking care of yourself than just how you weigh it. It completely changed the way that I thought and how I felt in my body. So it was just a total game changer. There was years and years and years there of learning and trying everything and feeling totally lost and out of control on these diets and restricting and binging and just being, so unhappy in my mind. And then I kind of stumbled upon this, realized how crazy impactful it was, and it was actually something that I could sustain, and I felt the positive effects immediately. So it really changed the game for me. Yeah.
This is so good. One word really sticks out to me from your story that you just shared with us is you felt that one word is lost, it sounds like, right?
Totally.
And there's a myriad of other words that can come confused. So how was we've heard kind of like how your life was prior to. Now, how do you feel after, being on this side of the fence, right? So lost is that word.
Yeah.
What is maybe one word, a couple of words that you feel that how this has kind of changed your life?
Yeah, I mean, way more at ease, honestly. So much more self-love, so much more body love, so much more confident.
Cool.
And composed, and honestly happy. Like the first word that comes to mind is just happy. It completely changed my mental health for the better. So
that's so good. And I always tell patients in our practice here at Acupuncture Fit, if you don't have your health, what do you have, right? And we're constantly looking for happiness and joy, and one of the ways to find peace and joy and love in our lives is to have our health in optimal function, and that's what you help patients do. And that's what I absolutely love about your program is you help restore patients into optimal health. So let's dive into that even a little bit deeper. You specialize in healing the gut with foods. How does that work, right? Hippocrates says, "Let food be thy medicine."
Yeah.
So how does that work with your program? Walk us through maybe a little bit how food can help heal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, totally. So he also said that it all starts in the gut. All disease begins in the gut, right? So we've known this, and we've just kind of turned a blind eye towards it. But on a very basic, intuitive level of understanding, we eat multiple times a day, every single day, and we have to eat to live, right? So these foods that we're putting into our bodies make a big effect on our health. It's and we can understand that, right? So this constant thing that we're putting into our body day after day after day can either feed disease or feed proper health. So when it comes to specifically the gut, and I believe that like all health stems from the gut.
Absolutely.
It affects literally everything, hormones, digestion, obviously, right? But it's not all about like bloating and stuff. There's skin conditions, the gut-brain axis exists, like it goes on and on and on. Systemic inflammation, which can, breed autoimmune conditions, et cetera, et cetera. So cardiovascular disease, all of it. But when it comes to the gut specifically, there's foods that really can kind of trigger an unhealthy gut and pull apart at that gut lining, creating something like leaky gut, which is just when the gut lining itself is very, very thin. It's like one single cell layer thin. It's like thinner than your fingernail, if you can imagine that. And it's really got to stay intact. And these certain foods, things like gluten, things like sugar, dairy, stress as well, right? But these other things can trigger these tight junctions that reside in the gut lining to come apart, and that creates leaky gut. So then all of these like undigested proteins, these toxins, parasites, particles start flowing into the bloodstream where they shouldn't be, just triggering systemic inflammation. So food is one of the biggest ways that we really get on board and repair it, by not only by supporting the gut lining, but also by like putting out the fire, because if we're consistently putting these foods into our bodies time after time again, we're just triggering it over and over and over again. And the body is so immensely strong and it really has an incredible ability to heal itself. But when you are just like hitting it day after day after day, it finally gives. And that can come across in skin conditions, migraines, the list goes on and on. But food is one of the biggest tools to help kind of keep the gut intact and also repair it.
One word that stands out to me too that you just said is fire, right?
Yeah.
Which is what inflammation. I forget what show I was watching. There were some scientists that put sugar in a rocket, heated that sugar up, and the rocket went up in the air like 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
So there are inflammatory foods that can cause what you were talking about regarding leaky gut to feel like your stomach's on fire. So in traditional Chinese medicine, what I preach at Acupuncture Fit in my practice, and a lot of what makes your program so effective, is that we counterbalance that, we balance that out. So if there are foods that we're constantly putting in our bodies, right, toxins that we're constantly putting in our bodies that are inflammatory or like fire, like hot, there are also foods in traditional Chinese medicine that we can use to balance out that heat and cool down. For instance, if you're hot, right, and it's summertime, we're finishing up summer, but in this summertime you're at a picnic, it's really hot outside. What's a food that you're going to want to go grab, right? Is it something that's more inflammatory or hot, or is it something like watermelon maybe, right? One of the melons that's very cooling in the body.
Yeah.
So in traditional Chinese medicine and how it relates to what Hannah's talking about, and I talk about this in my ebook, you can actually get it on our Facebook page, Eating Right for Your Body Type. It talks about the energetics of food and how we can balance out that fire or that inflammation that's in someone's body causing leaky gut. This is just fascinating. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I use elements of the energetics of food as well in what I talk about, and it's on a very like simple level too. I think that these theories can become so complex when you're unfamiliar with them. But we already know this stuff intuitively, exactly like what you said, right? Like when you're really hot, you're not trying to eat this like bowl of curry. You're like already very hot. So it can be easier to understand than some of the, we know this intuitively.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. No, that's so good. So leaky gut's one symptom. Maybe what's one or two other symptoms that you could maybe speak to somebody that's hearing this? And again, if you're liking this or just hearing this and someone that's suffering, from this diet roller coaster that we talked about to they just can't get their weight under control, or they suffer even from anxiety, because our gut health has a lot to do with anxiety, please like this, share this, comment and share this with your loved ones. So
yeah.
So we talked about leaky gut. What's another one or two other symptoms that you see in your practice that this might be able to help somebody with?
Yeah, I've helped so many women overcome skin conditions that the doctor has had no answer for, right? Traditional doctors have had no answer for. All the way from that to like, we don't even know really what this is, and we're kind of giving it a name and we don't know, and you just need to take a steroid for the rest of your life, which I'm like,
cover it up.
Right, totally. And it's like a Band-Aid approach, right? So there's been unexplainable skin conditions, cystic acne, eczema, psoriasis. Severe bloating can, lead to a multitude of issues, but a lot of women just suffer from bloating day after day after day, and that's not normal, and it doesn't have to be that way. A little bit of bloating here and there, after you're like doing something special, that makes sense, but consistently No. As well as like Hashimoto's, all autoimmune conditions stem from the gut. So Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, things like that.
Yeah.
And these terms like leaky gut and IBS and all of these other things, those are kind of the product of what's been going on in the body. But the symptoms can show up in tons of different ways.
Right.
And honestly, everything. Gut health has been linked back to like 90% of diseases.
Yes.
So
yes.
the symptoms go on and on.
Yeah, the gut is the second brain of the body.
Yes.
And that's something that we preach to our patients, all the time. And also you even talked about hormones and how that they can be influenced, right?
Totally.
Because some foods are dominant with estrogen even. I recommend a lot of my male patients to stay away from estrogen dominant foods such as soy, or just eating the right foods if you know that. And something that we do, and I know you do, is we figure out first what is going on with your body. So everybody has an individualized study, right?
Yeah.
There's not a one cure all, and if there's a diet program that's claiming that, run the other way, because everybody's made differently. Everybody's gone through different traumas, toxins,
Totally.
and mental
Yes.
thoughts that have affected their life. So that's just very, very powerful, how you really just individually figure out what's going on. Is it bloating, what the symptoms are, and then we reverse engineer from that.
Totally.
Speaking to the CAR principle, which I love to talk about with my patients, you mentioned covering it up with conventional medicine, right? And sometimes there is a need for conventional medicine,
Totally.
right?
Yep.
Sometimes there's a need for natural medicine, but I always recommend to start with natural if it's not just an acute or emergent case. You want to start with natural and then maybe go to conventional if needed surgery, right? So in starting with natural, what Hannah's speaking with is we're not just going to take a Band-Aid and cover up the check engine light.
Right.
So your check engine light in your car comes on, right?
Right.
Imagine if you brought it to mechanic and the mechanic told you, oh no, just cover it up with a
ignore
Band-Aid,
it.
right? Yeah, just
Right.
ignore it, right?
Yeah.
So what we do is really open up the hood and see how all the parts are working together and see where the dysfunction is. I want to dive a little bit deeper because this is very interesting.
Yeah.
With skin conditions.
Yep.
So different emotions can affect different parts of our body. And in traditional Chinese medicine, we believe that the emotion of grief or loss can affect our lung health. Now, where does the lung dump toxins in the body? It's on the skin that can manifest as rashes or such. There's also a connection to the liver as well. So
Yeah.
what we do is we don't look right to the skin to see what's going on. We see how your lungs functioning, how your liver's functioning, which is the largest filter in your body, because if that's backed up, the body's smart. It's not going to take those toxins and put them on a heart valve or on your stomach. It's going to dump those toxins on the skin, the largest organ in your body that's not vital to living.
Yeah.
And then you've got this rash. Well, you've got two options. You can cover it up, right? Slap on a cream,
Yeah.
and you're not getting right to the source, like putting a tape on your check engine light on the car.
Yeah.
Eventually it's just gonna run out and just not work anymore. So what we do is we open up the hood, we look in, from a functional perspective to see how your body's functioning, and then we see the skin conditions a lot of times clear up. And I know you've had some probably great testimonials
Totally.
with your program.
Oh my gosh, it takes, honestly, the gut microbiome can be really affected positively by food in as little as 48 hours. And I say that gently because I don't want anyone thinking that they can just change their diet for 2 days and it's all good to go, I'm not gonna lie, that's not how it works. But you can start to see and really feel results in as little as 48 hours, which is why I have a 3-day gut reset that I offer out for free.
Oh, great.
To people to try it out, and most people literally feel so much better in 3 days. Like constipation relief, hormonal acne has been gone in as little as 3 days. Migraines, the list goes on and on. But what it really, really does develop on the skin when you have a gut health issue, and especially things like psoriasis or conditions that we don't even know what they are, doctors have no answer for them, and eczema. I see a lot of that. And then acne, of course, because as you were saying, it shows up on the skin, and by the time something shows up on the skin, it's been happening in the body for a little while, And going back to the liver, the liver, if the liver is being overloaded as well, it'll affect everything because it's that number one detox organ, and it can also hinder digestion. So, because then it just acts like as a bully to the digestive system, aka the gut. So.
Wow, that's so powerful. So if you're interested in this 3-day program that Hannah has, Hannah, where can somebody go and find out more information on it? How do they reach you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's hannahAylward.com. So I'll spell it out because my name is tricky. It's HANNAH and then AYLWARD.com. You can sign up for my 3-day gut reset, literally start tomorrow. It's all whole natural foods. We're not fasting, we're not juicing, and there's a place for these things. I'm not trying to knock them, but I truly believe in sustainability and relatability, and if you aren't able to consistently do something, it doesn't work, right? So you can
preach.
You can
so good.
You can jump on, keto or juice fasting or whatever, but like that's not how you're going to exist and show up in this life day after day after day. So my 3-day gut reset is like, we've got 3 meals going on. You have optional snacks if you want. There's delicious recipes. I'm always like so fascinated because people love the recipes. They end up making them for days afterwards.
So good.
And they're like husband approved. It's all good. We get everyone on board. We help everyone's gut. So yeah, you can access it on my website. And you can reach out to me there too.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Hannah. And I'll put a link in the comments below so everybody can kind of click on there and go there. And just kind of to end, tell me a little bit about your dancing and cooking that you were telling me about. I think we'll kind of end on that note. Where did that come from? Because I see that a lot on your Instagram page.
Yeah.
You go check her out on Instagram. She's got a really cool page with a lot of good information. And she cooks and dances at the same time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I believe that food should make you feel good. And by optimizing your gut health, like you feel so good that you can't help but dance. That's like my thing. And so many of us just kind of walk around day after day with like our heads hanging low and our happiness is dimmed and our light is dimmed and we don't have the energy and we don't feel that spark for life. And I'm telling you, someone actually said about doing my program that it was like taking a Beyonce pill because you get out of it and you're like, I feel amazing. I'm more confident. I'm happier. I see more clearly. And you just like can't help but like literally do a happy dance. And dancing brings me joy. And I talk a lot about like joy-filled practices as such an influential part of our health journey, of our wellness journey, because it's not all about like chugging the green smoothie. Like if you're upset, if you hate your job, if you're in a relationship that doesn't support you, if you're not taking care of your mental health, the green smoothie can only go so far, So where can we bring in these like bits of joy into our life and just have fun with it?
Wow, this is so
Enter
good.
dancing.
Yes. So Beyonce, if you're hearing this, Jay-Z,
Right.
reach out to Hannah. Maybe you guys can create a supplement one day. So again, hey, thank you so much for being on today, Hannah.
Thank you for having me. It's such a blast.
You're very welcome. So we've got so much information also on our Facebook page. If you go on over to Acupuncture Fit on our Instagram page, there's a link to a free guide that I've written that helps you figure out, what foods are right for your body type. Please reach out to Hannah. Her information is great. I'm going to post a link again to the comments below. So thank you so much for watching. If you could just like this, heart this, share this with those you love, and help spread this mission of health and healing your gut. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. And until next time, we'll talk to you then.
Yes, thanks guys. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Bye guys.